I'm Jim Leverich. I'm a research coordinator at the University of Wisconsin, and I'm also a no-till farmer since about early 80s. I've been no-tilling. And I was asked to come here today and give a talk of precision ag and how I see it implementing in the future and some of the important characteristics of things that maybe you need to consider if you get into a precision ag system. And many farmers have been in precision ag for years. They've got yield maps, but the yield maps aren't necessarily really giving them a good indication of what's laying underneath the soil, because the yield maps are a good barometer of what's happening in a field, but they may not be precise enough to help to write prescriptions. So I guess if I were to outline some points that are really important, I think that some sort of really good soil survey or infrared imaging along with the yield maps may really be important in the future to define what kind of soil is underneath this crop that you're trying to manage, and how you would adjust your fertility and soil recommendations, how you would adjust your seeding rates. So in order to do that, we either need to come up with some better systems. I don't really use my yield maps a lot for making the determination of my prescriptions. I'd rather use a better approach of soil testing, which is more in depth, and then also looking at some new soil sampling opportunities that are coming today using 3D soil sampling, where we're actually taking dimensional testing at every foot or every zone. We might have a surface zone and then a subsurface zone, and then more information below that. And the companies that are doing that are basically running some sort of sonar and conductivity test across the field in 30 to 60 foot bands, and then from that information they use software to crunch that data and determine then where they should go soil sample. Then they'll soil sample at different depths, and they'll also take analysis at different depths, so they really know what's out there. So for managing nutrients like nitrogen or sulfur or mobile nutrients like that, or for seeding rates, it's really important to understand the water holding capacity of the soil. And so that type of survey in the future, I think, is going to be really essential to get the most value out of your precision ag. One of the biggest challenges is, okay, now you got this assessment of what you have out there, and then you have a system for planting and a system that you apply fertilizers with, which might be some sort of liquid system on the planter, or dry system on the planter, or broadcast system, or a nitrogen system where you're knifing in nitrogen, or side dressing, or you're applying with an irrigator. So all those factors have to be linked back with the soil information that you have, so that you can assess how you write your prescriptions to fit each of those systems. And so time, space, and form of nutrient application becomes really important. So like for an example, in the past when I used a lower amount of pop-up fertilizer in my current planting system, which was much different than originally when we had smaller planters, we used dry fertilizers, and we could put on a lot of the nutrients near the crop. So it didn't really matter all year there was nutrient there. Whereas now where we're larger planters and using a smaller amount of liquid, sometimes we have to overcompensate fertility with broadcast to make up that difference. So now this new starter research that I came across is actually showing us using a higher amount of liquid starters on the surface rather than injecting it in the ground, which gets, with no-tillers, that's usually a problem with having too many pieces of equipment on the planter toolbar. You get plugging and things like that. So if we can put this material on the surface, then we maybe can also do a better job of prescriptions and reduce our fertility costs, because we won't be over applying to try and get enough available nutrient for the crop. So that's really important. And then I think the infrared imaging will help to, I think if you lay several of these layers on top of each other, the trick will become trying to decide how much value you put in each of these layers to make a decision what's the most accurate for you.